I knew when I was putting this on that you were going to be in a matching outfit. I don't know why.
You guys are just in sync, whether you're together or not. It's just how you roll. Yeah, I just wanted to check in and see what you guys have been up to the last few months because it's been difficult for all of us. But I guess as musicians, it's hit you harder than most. So what have you been doing to keep yourself sane over the last few months?
Go on, Ben.
Well, yeah, we've been doing our Apple show, which has been a blessing, really. London To Nashville Radio on Apple Music. I mean, without that, would have been a very boring year. And you know, it's funny. It's kind of, I don't want to speak for Crissie, but for me, it's kind of rekindled. Not rekindled, but just reminded me how much I love country music. And you know, every week we sort of go through and choose our choices for the show, music wise, and we have. So we really get to listen to everything that's coming out of Nashville, which is great. And then we have the UK Artist Spotlight. That's been really good to shine like a light on the UK scene because I think internationally, you know, there hasn't really been that platform, and we've got that platform with Apple to play UK artists. So they have a lot of fun on there as well, and that has been a godsend. It's been so great to every other week we record the show, and it's been really nice to see Crissie online, albeit. And that's been keeping me sane completely because without that, I mean, yeah, it's been a very weird year. I think the best part also has been interviewing other musicians and presenters on the station as well. So we interview loads of the hosts from the different shows, and that has been just awesome, just to chat to people. And you know, there's presenters, there's songwriters, there's artists, and it's been really, really good fun.
How have you guys found the adjustment of becoming radio hosts as opposed to doing your performing and doing what you do? Because it is a different skill. I would imagine it's quite difficult to do the first time. How's it been?
It genuinely is very, very different. I mean, we love music, so you know, we like listening to it and really immersing ourselves in it. But like having, like Ben just said, like having to interview people, like we're so used to sort of being interviewed and saying how we're getting on in life or whatever, but having the tables turned and being the person asking all the questions. And I mean, it's to be honest, it's quite nice just to ask other people questions rather than, you know, us all the time. So I mean, we have learned, I think we've been learning along the way for sure, because we're just getting kind of used to it. I think for ages it took us a while to get used to the kind of, you know, London to Nashville radio, like just trying to remember that line all the time, and just getting the kind of flow of the show as well. And I mean, Ben had a real long streak of like losing the kind of fun round that we have, which is the jukebox duel, and we put two artists, like legendary country artists, head to head, and we just have a bit of fun with their back catalogue basically. And yeah, Ben was losing for a long time, which was quite hilarious really, but he's got it now. He's totally in the swing.
Well, Ben, you just mentioned that there's been a real spotlight on the UK artists from Apple Music, and you can see that in the playlists that they do as well. It's great to see them putting British artists alongside some of the best that Nashville has to offer. So was that something that you picked up on right from the off when you're having discussions with Apple Music, that they really wanted to try and broaden the horizons a little bit?
Yeah, totally. Now, I love the the playlists on there. Like the fact that it doesn't really matter where the music's come from is so exciting, because you know that generally country is very US centric. There's a bit of Canada obviously, but generally it's mostly US. And I think it's great what Apple are doing by having a lot of UK artists, also a lot of Australian artists as well. I think the most exotic we played was a band from South Africa, I can't pronounce it, the Ndlovu Youth Choir, who are on America's Got Talent, and they did a cover of Jolene, kind of, you know, sort of South African sound. It was beautiful. But I think the thing that all the presenters, all the hosts love on Apple Music is that it really is, you just get to do whatever you want. And it was a mutual thing. Our producers and Apple wanted us to obviously have our UK angle and shine that spotlight on the UK. And obviously we want to do that as well, because when we started out, there wasn't, it was really just, you know, the Bob Harris country show. It was all there was. And that was, there's very few blogs around, there were very few radio shows. There wasn't really that platform. And yeah, it was a big thing for us. But like you say, I think the way that Apple are supporting a UK artist. It really like takes me back when I see like Emma and Jolie on the playlist. I'm like, oh, what? Like, yeah, and they're just starting out and they're really putting those early bets on people, which is a really important thing because there's so much music out there, and yeah, it's nice to have that platform, as I keep on saying.
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't had a chance to check out the show yet, tell us a little bit about some of the guests that you've had on, because you've had some really, really big names involved and you've done a lot of cool stuff on there. So give us an overview of what you've done so far.
Yeah, so we get to obviously shine a spotlight on some UK artists. We have a part of the show called the Jukebox Duel, where Ben and I put two legendary country artists together, and well, we go head to head with our chosen artist, and we basically we're given some scenarios, some like ridiculous scenarios, and we basically have to go through our legendary country artists' back catalogue, which is really fun. I mean, some of them have like 5 albums, some of them have like 25 albums. It's like crazy, like, and it's so nice to go back through their old songs as well. And yeah, so we battle it out with that part, but we also get to play a lot of the current chart music that's coming out of Nashville, some brand new albums that are being released. And we have interviews also, which is always quite nerve-wracking because obviously we're used to being the people being interviewed, but not the interviewee. And so yeah, we had Ty Bentley on the show. We had Luke Laird just recently. We had Hunter Kelly as well. A lot of the kind of hosts from Apple Music, from the shows that they have, so they kind of jump on board and we basically grill them, which is super awkward. I mean, we've never met most of these people before, and then we have to just ask them some of the most awkward questions. Like, the both of us just feel really awkward every time we do it, and then we literally like cringe at whatever we're going to get asked as well.
But you've had some amazing guests. I mean, Lauren Alaina has been featured on your show, Jimmy Allen, like you say, Morgan Evans. And I wanted to touch on Lauren Alaina because obviously she did a duet with you on a re-recording of Lightning Strikes. Tell us about the moment when you first heard the recording of that, because I can imagine you guys were just like kids at Christmas when you heard Lauren Alaina on the track. I mean, what a voice she's got.
The voice is just, it's so massive and you forget. And yeah, we heard it, like you said, and it was like, oh, this is really exciting. It's really, really exciting just to hear. And we first met Lauren, I think it was about 6 years ago, in a place called Bar Taco in Nashville. And I think she had been on the TV show, I think was maybe.
No, I think we met her at C2C.
Oh, maybe before. Okay, so
Country to Country. I think we were at the. What year was that? I feel like she came over pretty early
she did
on.
Indigo, didn't she? I don't know when it was.
Yeah.
That must have been 4 or 5 years
And then
ago.
it was Indigo, and we were all hanging backstage, and then we were all having a good old time drinking the sort of the bar tab that was backstage there. And then they were I just remember them just saying, like, you guys have got to get out, like, you need to take this party somewhere else. But I think we took it back to the hotel lobby. I don't know where Lauren ended up that night, but she had a good time.
That's probably why I don't remember that. That's probably why. There was free drinks backstage. I don't remember that moment. But yeah, we met Lauren, and she's just amazing. I mean, her voice is just brilliant, and she really took the song to another dimension. I mean, and yeah, we released the video just now as well, which has been great. And yeah, I think it's sort of running theme. We really want to break into the US, and that's kind of our goal for the future, the immediate future, really. So having a duet with Lauren's been great. We've got another one on the cards as well, which has been recorded, which sounds really great as well, which I can't tell you about, but I think people will be very excited when they find out who it is. And yeah, it's really cool, actually. It's really, really great. And yeah, I think the show has been great as well. I mean, we're so shocked at how many of the people we interview know who we are. Mm-hmm. So we sort of do a lot of spiel. We kind of try to introduce ourselves to them, and they're like, we know who you are. And it's it's a really odd thing for us because we're 4,100 whatever miles we are away. I should know that from Nashville, but it's much, that distance is much smaller now. It feels much smaller. 7 years ago when we got together, we felt like we were really trying to break in, and people from the UK and Australia were trying to break into that market. Whereas now there's a real kind of back and forth, which C2C has been amazing for. And yeah, the investment from people like Apple into building a global country thing has just been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about possibly breaking into States? Because you've been with BMG for the last couple of years and they've got a huge presence in Nashville, obviously. So is that something you really want to target over the next couple of years? And do you see it as something that's very accessible for you guys and something that you could actually do well in?
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to sort of break America for the whole time that we've been together. And now that we're with BMG, we actually literally took a trip out to Nashville literally weeks before lockdown happened. And just the excitement from the label over there, it was so exciting to see that they're really excited about us and genuinely really excited to promote us. And there was talks of our songs all going to radio and getting us out there to tour. And then obviously the pandemic has hit, and we didn't get that chance to go out and promote the album, live as we wanted to. But the stateside, they're still really excited about, promoting us out there. And I think for us, it's just going to be able to, when we get to spend some time out there, I think, we really have to spend a bit of sort of time out there, I think.
Well, it's great to see a label trying to get behind British country and really give it a platform out there. And Ben, I wanted to touch on your production knowledge a little bit, because I've noticed in the last couple of years there seems to be a massive improvement in terms of the production quality from British artists. Is that something you would agree with? Because I know you do a lot of production yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think what's really great is that people aren't, well, there's a couple of things. People aren't really trying to imitate anymore. I think you can definitely hear that kind of UK-ness in the song and the production as well. But yeah, no, it's definitely stepped up a lot, actually. I think, I can't tell you why, but I think, people are going to Nashville, they're making that kind of jump and finding the up and coming producers. But I think also on the flip side, the other thing is that the sound of Nashville has changed a lot. And when we first got together, pretty much everyone or most people made their album with a live band or very much studio based. And then I've noticed it in the last 4 years, the track person has come in, the person who does the track in the session, which was a very alien concept in Nashville. It used to be you just wrote with a couple of guitars or a piano in a room and then you went into the producer, whereas now there's like a producer in the room. And it's very much kind of like the pop way that making the record is kind of part of the songwriting process. Not all the time. I think it's exciting that people like Luke Combs are coming through and Chris Stapleton are having that more kind of organic sound. But I think people like Dan and Shay are pushing that kind of produced sound. And I think that has given the UK artists like an angle that it does sound like what's in the charts on the radio, on the playlists, I think, which is really great. But yeah, I totally agree with you. The level has completely stepped up massively in every way, actually.
Just lastly, I wanted to touch on what you guys are doing music-wise for the next kind of year or so. As difficult as it is to plan anything, have you got any kind of new music in the can? I know you mentioned you got one collaboration project coming up, but is there anything else in the pipeline that we can expect?
I think we've both been kind of a bit down about the fact that we haven't still been able to tour the last album. And I know, Ben, you've been writing quite a lot in your studio there in the garden. I've been kind of writing some ideas down, and I think we're kind of waiting for that day when we can get together to collaborate again. And perhaps we might start kind of Zooming a little bit more as well to write. But the whole process of writing over Zoom is a bizarre one kind of thing,
No, it's very weird. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody I speak to I get a different answer from everyone. Some people love the Zoom writing, some people absolutely despise it.
I think if you know the person and you've got like a real, bond with them and you get them and you've had loads of like time spent with them, I think it's fine. But I think if you're going in cold with somebody you don't really know, that's always just a bit bizarre in me.
Definitely.
And let's hope we can get that tour going at some point as well, because I was gutted that went last year. I was a victim of COVID, obviously, but
I know. Well, it feels like maybe this next tour, whenever it will be, you will have 2 albums to play. I mean, yeah. Everyone's like, is the tour happening in April? And obviously it's nothing, we have no say in that. It's whatever happens with, government and lockdown, etc. But, my gut right now is that it feels unlikely, which is very, that's just my gut. I mean, things might change. Might get to, March, April, and suddenly everything's lifted. It feels unlikely though, if I'm totally honest. If that doesn't happen, whenever the tour will be, I mean, we just want to make another album. I mean, it will be, it's already a year since Good Years came out. It will be in March, which is crazy. Like Crissie said, we had this it was so weird. It's so extreme with album cycles, because you go from doing nothing to writing, and suddenly you make the record, and then the releasing of it is such a different thing. And we went to Nashville for that 2-day trip, and it was like, oh, everything's gearing up, it's getting great. I remember Crissie on the way back anti-backing her airplane seat, and I was thinking, oh, she's crazy, and then like a week later or 2 weeks later, we're stuck in our houses basically. And I think, I don't know, I think most people, like I felt that it would all be over in like a month or two. I could never foresee us being sat here having postponed 3 tours. So yeah, I think we just got to push on, make another album. And, you know, my gut, like I say, is that we'll have 2 albums to tour for this next tour. But, you know, I'm more already ready for all the tears we're going to be crying on stage, because it feels like it's never going to happen again. And it will, of course, it will happen again. But right now, it's like, when do you get to play live again? It's just, when are we going to hear live music again? But
it is going to be so emotional and so over the top, and like it's just going to feel crazy, like to go from being so sort of sedentary at home and like not seeing that anyone, you know, in person, not even hugging anybody, not being around, like, and music, oh my gosh, it's just so uplifting. Like the few times that we were, like Ben and I were able to get together when the lockdown kind of lifted and we just sang together, it was like, oh gosh, this is just so good, you know, just to sing. But even so, we were just a little bit scratchy because we hadn't sang together for a while. So it was like, oh, we've got to really start listening again and make sure that we're singing together. But it's just going to feel like overwhelming, I can imagine. And it's literally the only thing that's keeping me going at the moment, is knowing that I do believe that, you know, even if we don't get to tour in April, May, whenever it is, touring is going to go crazy. And, you know, I think us musicians should just enjoy the time off right now, because I'm pretty sure it's going to go mental for a long time.
Yeah, can you imagine what that first C2C is going to feel like when we get back?
Oh, how is it? How have we missed 2 years of it now? Like it's like the one thing that brings us all together. You know, it's like the biggest social event for all of us, where we just see everybody. But it's the safest call to make at the moment. But it's gonna be crazy.
Well, fingers crossed for next year. But guys, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate the time.